I'm here with Izzy Kestrel, who's got a spooky Grim Fandango. Is that who that is? That skeleton man?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
Manny Calavera.
that's right. We were just talking to Aisha Farah, who wrote or co-wrote Double Exposure, Life is Strange Double Exposure.
Yeah, yeah.
And she loves Grim Fandango. If she tunes into this episode, she'll fall in love with you instantly, just due to the Fandango-ness of it all. But the reason I know you, Izzy Kestrel, is how long has it been that you've been Gex posting about Gex, the video game character?
I've looked recently, and I think my earliest Gex post was in like 2012, maybe on
Oh,
Twitter.
that is amazing. And has it died down your interest in the Gex franchise of video games?
Oh, no, I think it's only grown. It's kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit, but it's stayed pretty consistent, and I think it just continued trending upward over time.
Yeah, it what I've seen as a fan of your Gex posts and other things is that there was a time when I think you were really grasping on to this possibility that you could be a part of a new Gex project. And I was alive with excitement around that time. And I actually met Dana Gould briefly, who is the voice of Gex at the Boston Comedy Festival, where I often go once a year. He's from Massachusetts. I can't remember the name of the town. It's like Hopeland or Copeland or something. So
Yeah.
he comes back here. He shot a TV show called Stand Against Evil around here in the Northeast. Though my understanding is, for those who don't know, Dana Gould, he wrote for The Simpsons. He does a show now called Hangin' with Mr. Z, where he plays Dr. Zaius. Because I think he might have helped write that episode of The Simpsons where they did the Planet of the Apes musical. Anyway, I met him and was like, "You want to do more Gex?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I think I found you on Twitter. I was like, "Izzy, he wants to do more Gex." And you're like, "Great." And then, of course, because life is the way it is, nothing happens. I mean, he doesn't have control over that Gex. He created that Gex or co-created it, but it's Square Enix, I think, who has the rights to Gex.
It's messy. I've done a
Hmm.
lot of research, and I think to the best of my understanding, so Square Enix they own Dynamics, who's the developer of Gex. I believe they sold Crystal Dynamics to Embracer Group.
That's not good, from what I know.
It's bad, but there's some weirdness there because I think that so my theory, which I've not confirmed this, even though I've tried, in 2015 there was an effort from Square Enix Collective, where they basically had the rights of a handful of um, old properties, basically had like Gex, Anachronox, and Fear Effect.
Oh, okay.
And they published this initiative to say, hey, if you want to pitch us a new game for one of these IPs, we'll entertain it. And I think the only thing that actually came out of that initiative was Fear Effect Sedna, which came out a couple of years ago, I believe.
It was like a strategy fear effect.
Yeah, I didn't play. I never followed Fear Effects. I don't really know anything about it, but I know that I think it was Sushi Games that made it, and they also had pitched a Gex game too, but I guess Fear Effect won out. So you can find some concept art from the Sushi Games take on Gex, but that initiative, I think, in the way that the rights, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how this legal stuff works, but I think that Fear Effect, Anachronox, and Gex were kind of like shuffled into like a separate filing cabinet
Mm.
for the collective. And so when Embracer sold Crystal Dynamics, they didn't keep the rights to Gex.
Mm.
And I've confirmed that. Like I've talked to people within Crystal Dynamics since that sale, and they said that they don't own Gex anymore. So I know that they don't own it. Does Square Enix still own them? It's
But
hard
is
to
it
say.
Square Enix or the Square Enix collective who might have, if they not long ago said, "Hey, pitch us a game"? Why would they not want us to pitch them a game now? Then
You're so right.
I love to dream, and I realize now that hopefully everyone tuning into this episode already knows and loves Gex. But the last Gex game did come out 20 years ago, 25.
Yeah, I want to say it was 99.
Oh my. So people may not know. How would you describe Gex to someone who's never heard of it? How would you sell them on getting involved in the Gex evolution, the Gex revolution?
I don't know that I would sell them. I don't know that I recommend it necessarily. Um, Gex is a lizard. He is a gecko. And he is a video game character created in the 90s. Kind of, I think canonically, the staff that came to Crystal Dynamics, that started Crystal Dynamics, were ex-Sega people.
Mm.
Um, and I think it was Madeline Capena. I don't remember exactly what her name was. But she was quote unquote the mother of Sonic. She had a big role in the marketing push for Sonic in the States.
Hmm.
So she earned that nickname. And she was one of the co-founders of Crystal Dynamics, and they really wanted to have their own Sonic, right? They wanted a cool guy with like sunglasses and to like, blow up and be a big mascot. So they came up with Gex, and he is a lizard that talks with the voice of Dana Gould. Um, and he's pretty much just Dana. I have met Dana too. I've had an interview with Dana for a project I'm working on. It's top secret still, but asked him all kinds of questions, and like even just talking to him, even if you go on YouTube and watch some of his stand up, he is just Gex. Like there's no real, and he explained this to me. He's like, well, I do a lot of like voices, like I'm doing a bunch of like, I'm pretending to be Johnny Carson or something. I don't want to be a voice doing a voice. So he
Mm.
just did his own voice, and then he'd like make Gex do Johnny Carson or whatever his impressions are.
Oh, right.
So you listen to his stand up, and he's just doing like this is like taco night at Edward James Olmos's house or what. But he's just doing stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
just his humor, which is really great. Uh, so if you like his humor, you'll like Gex. At least the character. The game's kind of, hit or miss. First one was a 2D platformer. It came out in the 3DO, which not very many people remember.
It was a 2D platformer?
Yes, the first game was 2D.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. Why would they? Because it's literally got 3D in the name. That 3DO had all sorts of 3Ds going on. But they went with 2D for Gex, and he's not a fast runner like Sonic. He can stick to walls. Am I remembering that right, or am I dreaming that?
He can crawl on walls. You're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird move because Crystal's first two games, Crash and Burn and Total Eclipse, were both like very 3D. Like Total Eclipse is like very Star Fox sort of vibes.
Mm.
And that was pretty impressive in 3DO. But some of the problems that this game ran into in development was just like, this is now like we're jumping from 16 to 32-bit. The
Mm.
artist like knows how to make something for like a smaller pixel like range, but now they're like having to make things like 4 times as much art or whatever. And it's a very visually like, it's for the time like a very visually like, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of like bespoke animations. Gex himself is actually kind of like, I think they like rendered him in 3D, and they did kind of like a Donkey Kong Country sort of vibe where
Yeah.
he is like a 3D model, but he's all rendered in 2D frames. And it's kind of a mishmash. It's like, there's some like, the whole theming is that he gets pulled into TV land by the bad guy Rez, and he has to fight his way out. So there's like him inside like cartoon land and like Kung Fu world or whatever. And then Dana just kind of riffing on whatever the themes of the worlds are and like quoting pop culture things that I didn't get when I was a kid, but I played it as a kid on a 3DO because my grandpa bought one for $700 or whatever it was, and that was the killer app for it at the time.
Wow. So he's riffing like throughout. They didn't take advantage of the polygon processing of the 3DO, but they did take full advantage of that CD-ROM technology because it could hold all sorts of voice files. And he's joking around nonstop. And it's a premise that I think people always want to do this premise. Like Beautiful Joe did it. I feel like even like in a way the Minecraft and the Mario movies did it, where you're like sucked into a video game world, Tron and whatever. But he was not sucked into a video game world. He was sucked into TV, and it was commentary on TV. I think people assume that your interest in Gex is more ironic than not, because there is a definite like they don't make them like that anymore. Level of corniness to it, but it is like also sincerely different and authentic. I feel like, and even legitimately funny. Do you think?
Yeah, I think the thing that like captured me so much as a child is just like how inscrutable it was, right? Because even like you think about how old Dana is, he's probably got like I don't know how old Dana is.
Yeah, I think he's in his 60s. He's older than me, and I'm almost 50. So
Yeah. So he, is pulling from a different like pop culture well than even I was when I was a kid in the 90s. And so he's making game and he's like in his 20s or whatever in the 90s and he's making Gex. Like I some of it I would get off of watching Nick at Night or watching like old shows because I watched all kinds of TV. Like I did absorb a lot of things. Actually just recently there was a bit from the third Gex game at the beginning cutscene that I was researching and he's a secret agent in this one, kind of like a Austin Powers kind of vibe, and he's like going into his Gex cave where he like does whatever. But he's to open his like secret passage, he says the magic words Shamil, Shamazel, and I'm like I never processed what he was saying before. But
Mm.
it's from Laverne and Shirley,
Oh yeah.
the sitcom. Yeah, that's the first thing they say at the beginning of the show, and I like I it clipped like do I know where do I know this from? And then I
Mm.
found the clip online. I'm like, oh my God, I've watched the show. Like I remember this now. And it's kind of like the gift that keeps on giving, right? Is like there's so much like quoting and references and things in these games that years later I can be combing through clips of things and listening to new parts and being like, I've heard this line a billion times because I played these games as a kid, but only just now did this click. And then it's even weirder when it clicks. It's like this was something I would have understood if I had processed it at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's now from a bygone era of video games, but when it came out, it was a lot of references to bygone eras of television too. Like Johnny Carson, I think died in like '99 or something. So that was, but he was probably still impersonating him because the weird thing from my Gex perspective, my Gexpective, which is different than yours, because I'm excited to hear that you're still deep in Gex projects and they're unannounced. I'm guessing the Dana Gould. I mean, wouldn't it be something if you decided to just do a total left turn and did a Dana Gould project that was all about, I don't know, the fact that he married the president of HBO or something?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I think a Kickstarter for like a Gex, kind of like they did a ukulele, that would go really hard, right? If I was just like, I'm gonna make a new Gex that's not Gex legally, it's not Gex, but Data Gold is
yeah,
back. That would be pretty good. It's not. That's not what I'm doing. I would love to do that though.
that would be. There's got to be. I mean, they've made new Busby games in the past 10 years. They're talking about the Noid sometimes, though that got very ugly. I don't know if you remember. There was some real ugliness with the Noid, so he'll probably never come back. But Gex, Dana's still with us. The potential is still there.
And he loves
But
it. Yeah, he people come up to him at shows and give him cartridges and stuff to sign. That's still happening as of like a year or two ago when I talked to him.
that's amazing. So why do you think it is that Gex did fall off the map? There was 4 games in the series.
Three.
Remember? 3. Gex Junior floats around in
You
my
you
mind,
could count, yeah, Gex
but he's not
Jr.
quite
Yeah.
real. Gex Junior. He's
No,
borderline real.
no, he's yes, prototype.
Right. So 3 games that we and 1 prototype that we know of. What's the full Gex encyclopedia? What's the full Gex timeline?
Yeah, so we had Gex 1 in, I want to say 95. You would think I'd know these by heart by now, but I don't. Probably plus or minus a year. Enter the Gecko was the second game. That was his jump to 3D. That was on the PlayStation and the 64.
Mm.
That was in, I want to say 97 or 98. And then Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko was the third and final game, and that came out on the PlayStation and 64 as well in 99, about that area, like a year or two after Enter the Gecko. Super recently, it was discovered that there was a prototype of a game called Gex Junior by a learning like game company, like educational game company, that they wanted to kind of branch out and do basically like Flash games were becoming a thing, and they were like, oh, we can't sell like Blues Clues number adventure on like a CD anymore. Like no one's gonna buy this. We have to like, pivot. So they got a PlayStation dev kit and they kind of hacked together this Gex Junior demo. That never got anywhere, I don't think, but that was like 2001 that they were working on that, and then it wasn't discovered till like 2 or 3 years ago, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
And it was like not trying to be super funny, right? From what they gathered. Or was it hard to
It's
tell?
it's so there are like 5 voice clips in it, and this is something that I like I love so much about this prototype is that like obviously like when you make a video game there's a million things right to make a video game. There's so much that goes into it, and the list of things you have to prioritize, typically voiceover is not one of them.
Hmm.
But they were like, no, it is so critical to the character of Gex that he has to have some like quippy one-liners. And so Gex Jr. like makes some comments about Blue's Clues. He's like, I want to be a millionaire, Regis, or whatever. He's got like just a couple, just like 5 things that they had like their in-house artist just kind of do a fake voice for. And that's just incredible that they were like, they got it. They knew what they were doing, I think.
Yeah, wild, wild, wild. And what did I just dream that there was a Game Boy game, or did that? I've seen that box art in my mind. Did you fake that?
You are correct. There were game back in that weird time where they would make Game Boy ports of like full console games. Um, they were never the same, right? They was like they had some kind of like third party developer kind of like, here's what we're going for. Can you like what can you do on this hardware?
Mm.
Um, there was a port, a quote unquote port of the second and third games, which again were full 3D games on the PlayStation and 64. Both of those got a Game Boy Color game that were 2D side scrollers, not unlike the first game, um, and kind of similar theming and stuff. But like, he doesn't talk. There's
Oh,
no dial. It was like obviously in that cart. Like, what are they gonna do?
yeah. How could
But
they do
like,
it?
even if it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just like, oh, what is that game? Like Sinistar or whatever. Just like the
Oh,
really
sure.
horribly like you're mine. Like they just had like terrible, like over compressed. Like even if there's just like 2 or 3 clips of him just saying stupid stuff, that would have gone a long way. But
Yeah,
personally, I don't consider them like I don't consider them. I don't think about them. You get some nice sprite work if you go to like rip the sprites out of the game, but like otherwise like there's not a lot there to talk about.
right. Wow, interesting. I didn't know. So you're not only the epitome of a Gex expert. You're kind of a Gex connoisseur. You're also sort of a Gex snob. Like you reject the two because I love 2D platformers. I thought I was like there's 4 games, right? And you're like there's 3, and I'm like, what about those other 2? You're like, we don't talk about
No,
those.
they're not real. But I think so much of it too is like I've been trying to like figure out what it is. Like, am I a fan of Gex? Do I like Gex? Is it like a
Yeah,
Stockholm syndrome kind of thing? Because like my grandpa bought this really expensive console and he's just like, please, children, you have to play it. You have to like this game. I spent so much money on it. My wife is gonna divorce me if you don't like this video game. It's just like I wonder how much of it is like this weird that weird feeling of like just growing up with it and kind of having nostalgia.
mm,
But I think really what it is, I really just like the character. I just think the character is very funny. And so much of that has to do with Dana's performance, right?
right.
The games are pretty hit or miss. I like the second one a lot because that was the one I played the most probably. But you know, I think that is the thing that I'm drawn to is this character and like you know, maybe you've have you played Gexfeld by chance?
There's a Gex Garfield crossover. Is that what it is?
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, even better. How did that happen? Did you make that?
I did make that.
I gotta play Gexfeld, but please. I'm sorry, I missed Gexfeld.
No, it's okay. So please, yeah, check out Gexfeld. I made a actually one of the few 3D games like I've done solo and released. I made an Unreal Engine Gex game, where basically I got a model of Jerry Seinfeld's apartment off the internet, and he just kind of wanders around in it and quips. So I wrote those lines with my friend Grant, who does like if you've heard of Gextra Life, they do like a charity stream about where they play Gex. Um, there's lots of Gex. If you look for them, there are Gex people out there. But yeah, I made a little 3D platformer called Gexfeld, and that was really the thing that was like that drew me in. Is like, oh, I just really want to like play with this character more. Like, who is Gex? Like, who is he like in the future? I have a lot of very strong feelings about him. Like, I don't think he is a gamer. because I've confirmed that Dana is not, right? Dana
Right.
does not play video games. He doesn't really know anything about video games. I don't think Gex does either. I don't think he really knows what the internet is. I mean, Dana probably does. Dana obviously does because he has the podcast.
Yeah, well, yeah, yes and no. He produces something for the internet, but I don't think he's on there a lot. I follow him on X, Twitter, and he's just talking about how awful the government is constantly, and that's great. But it's not like he's doing memes and talking about like TikTok or anything. Like he's still a cranky old guy, and
Yes, that's very much where I think Gex is at this generation too. If we had a new Gex game, it would be a lot about Gex just not really knowing what this current media landscape is.
and jumping around still and fighting. Did he whip with his tail?
He did whip with his tail. He would lash with his tongue. He would like eat bugs. Yeah, no, I think if I were in charge of a X4, right, he would get sucked to the internet. He wouldn't have any idea what was going on. It'd probably be like Y2K or something, right? He'd get sucked in and then he's like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Um, but like he would just keep talking about pop culture stuff and all the new meme things would just kind of go over his head, you know?
Yeah, he'd be talking about Happy Days and Burt Reynolds and stuff like that because that's that's where his mind is. That's where his mind is at. Do you think that it feels like Gex was something of an ironic interest, but also you maybe identified with how he's always been an outsider. He's always just wanted to like connect and talk about the stuff he's fascinated with. And Dana is like a massive nerd for all the stuff he likes, which I think is just TV shows. And likewise, you're a massive nerd for video games and Gex, for instance. So, like, if there was a video game about you, Izzy, she would be talking about Gex, and people would be like, "I don't get this reference." And then Gex, it would be like an Inception thing, where then you'd go into a Gex level, and then Gex would be riffing on Johnny Carson, and you'd be riffing on Gex, and everybody under 20 would be completely confused, but fascinated. I have a 9-year-old, and he's watching The Simpsons right now. I think some Dana Gould written episodes. He is not laughing at all. He's just like this. What is happening? Like, to him, it's just like science. He's just learning the facts of what The Simpsons did, why they did it, who they are, who this massive cast of characters is. Like, he's never laughed at it once. He wants to watch it every night just to absorb it and to know it. And likewise, when you're playing Gex, like, you might laugh at the jokes, but you're like, what is he talking about? You can go down so many amazing rabbit holes. So my sense is you relate with that nerdiness that Gex has, that overabundance of fascination with the media that really clicks with him because it clicks with you too. And likewise, I do think that's, for me, that's the new Gex game, is a game about you liking Gex and then meeting Gex in the video game world and then going with him deeper and deeper. And it would almost, I hate to bring it up because I think Woody Allen is probably a sex criminal. That's the way
Yes,
it's
I'm
certainly
pretty sure.
looking. Yeah, I try not to. I don't know him personally, but I've heard both sides, and I'm leaning towards sex criminal. But that movie Midnight in Paris he made, pretty good movie. I think we can say that. We shouldn't pay for it. We shouldn't even watch it. But you can listen to me talk about it because I'm supporting you and you're good. So therefore, it's good that I'm using this to support you. In that movie, Owen Wilson keeps like going deeper into the past. Like he wants to be in 1920s France. Then he meets people in 1920s France and want to be in 1800s France. And they just keep going. They're nostalgic for a time they were never in. I want that, but you and Gex. And then Johnny Carson is in it. We'll get the Johnny Carson, disgusting polygon-based Johnny Carson will be in there, being like, "Well, Gex, it's a pleasure to meet you." And did I ever tell you about my favorite entertainer from the 1910s? And it'll be like, Bob Hope's dad or something, and they'll just keep going. That would be an amazing deep dive. How could we make this? Should I kickstart it? Should I do another project? It's got to make. How much money do we need? How do we get that Gex? The rights. How do we get those Gex rights? How do we get it? How do we do it?
I don't know. Limited Run Games is producing the trilogy right now, so that's kind of
Okay.
come out sometime this summer. That we're gonna have a Gex Renaissance possibly, where the games will be available again, right? Because they haven't really been meaningfully like you couldn't really purchase them in any meaningful way for the last like decade.
Yeah, the last one wasn't even PlayStation 2, it was PlayStation 1.
Yes, Yes.
Wow, much harder to find those games for the most part, especially at this point. So yeah, very very hard to get. So they're re-releasing them on multiple consoles, or just like,
I think.
wow, okay. All right. Well, it's PAX East this week. I know limited run people a little bit. I wrote for a couple of their books forevers ago. I wrote about Shadows of the Damned and No More Heroes 1 and 2. People say that they're bad people limited run. I don't claim to know them. I bought a cartridge from them, and then before I opened it, I read in the news the cartridge doesn't work. So now I don't know what to do about that. So, but still, I hate to be a mercenary. I hate to be a total scumbag about this. But if it gets us to Gex, I'll schmooze with all the limited run people I gotta. Jeremy Parrish is great. I vouch for him personally, but he's like, whenever I've asked him, I'm like, so about the games, Jeremy? He's like, I got nothing to do with the games part. I just work on their books. I'm the books guy. There's no default. There's no faulty chips in the books. The books, good
The
paper.
books work.
Yeah, that's right. So I could always ask Jeremy too if he can put me in touch. So they know someone's got those rights. We are only a degree of separation away from them, and then it would be money. I guess we would need.
Yes. Yes.
How much of that do we gotta get?
I don't know. I mean, how much does Dana cost? That's kind of the main thing, right? Like, I'll do the you can go look at Gexfeld, right?
Yep.
It's not it's I could do the game part. I can make video games, but like Dana, how do we get Dana to talk
How do we get
on
Dana to
microphone?
talk?
Honestly, I don't know if you're actually asking me, but I'm going to give you an actual answer. I think if we were friends with him, and I know people who are friends with him,
I
Who
have
he
his phone
actually-
number. Like, I
you
have
ha-
talked, I can.
he likes you, but he's also like, I don't. My experience with these comedians, I've been I know what a thing to say. I've been judging the Boston Comedy Festival off and on for like a decade for some reason.
Okay.
And
Cool.
So I've met a lot of the comedians. I haven't met all of them, but I met Emmanuel Lewis, who starred in Webster. This year, I was hanging out with Emo Phillips for like 2 hours after the show. He was like, "Have you ever seen an eagle?" I'm like, "I have." He's like, "Where?" Like, just he wanted to see an eagle like right now. Like, where are the eagles? He didn't want to. He's a very eccentric guy, very nice guy. So, from what I can tell of these comedians, they think everybody is just trying to get close to them to do a project, like Gex, for instance. And he's like, you don't actually care about me as a human being. I am just a character to you, or I am a stepping stone to the project you want to get made, or you like my character, but you don't actually like care about me as a human being. And as soon as I stop being novel and entertaining to you, you're gonna discard me. I would never discard Dana Gould, but at the same token, it's true. Like, I don't know him personally, and therefore I can't say that my interest in him has to do with the fact that I know him. It's because he's Gex. So, and I also like Stand Against Evil a whole lot. So he does have actual friends around here, though, who he knows and trusts. And if he said, hey, why don't we just record for 4 hours, and these people will give you $50,000, and I'll buy the pizza, and I'll hang out with you and make it fun, he would probably say, yeah, $50,000 for 4 hours, and that's probably enough audio. Because he's
quick.
We gave him a couple of cups of coffee and then something to loosen him up a little bit, rum and Coke or something. He would just make it all up. And he's so angry, which drives a lot of the good jokes. And he would really
Political Gex would really hit.
It
I
would
think,
be
in
an
this
extremely
climate.
political Gex. Yeah, it would be a real statement. And somebody's got to make statements like about politics. Briefly, I'll say, because I think about it constantly. Unfortunately, I'm always stressed about it. I do think people ended up doing what they did, and I'm sad about it. Well, to not name names, but you get the idea. Because they did want someone to just like not worry about being offensive anymore. People, I'm stressed out about being offensive all the time, and it is stressful. People wanted someone to just lower the bar completely. Yeah, and it sucks because the bar had some use. It's kind of good to have some standards, but not for Gex. An angry, drunk, caffeinated Dana Gould would have no standards, and he would just let it all out. And if we put it in the game, it would make waves. It would be like, remember when Grand Theft Auto was like new and exciting? Like, oh, I can't believe they did that. It would be like that again, except it would be friggin' Gex and you and Johnny Carson and whoever else.
Oh man.
Are you feeling this? Because you're the Gex expert. I feel like I should be asking you for more Gex ideas. My Gex ideas. Who
I mean,
cares?
I have a million, right? But the thing is, I don't have the resources.
Mm,
It's like, so I need connections, right? We're making connections here. That's what we're making our bid for power.
yes.
And Gex for president.
Sounds good to me. Well, we only have 5 minutes left of the Zoom call. You have made other games that people can get. There's Gexfeld. We should tell people about the other stuff you've worked on and done that's out there now.
Yeah, I've made a bunch of stuff. You can go to my website, isnaut.com, iznaut.com. I've worked for a handful of game studios. Only one of them has actually shipped something since I've worked there, so not a lot of like industry credits. But a lot of my personal work, though, when I'm not just literally straight up making a Gex fan game or putting Gex in my game, hiding him in the game somewhere, my games do tend to be very like meta and very pop culture centric and kind of like, clearly inspired by the Lizard. I made a game I'm particularly proud of is Universal Studios Theme Parks Adventure.
Yeah. Is that the one? Is it? It's the 2600 graphic style? Or
Yeah,
did I dream that?
yes, it's made in Bitsy, so it's like a very like lo-fi, like 8 by 8 pixel kind of engine. Um, yeah, so that is a 2D approximation of a real 3D GameCube game that came out in 2001 called Universal Studios Adventure. And it's a bad game that I had as a kid. One of my friends in high school just left it at my house, and we just had the loose disc lying around. And we would go to all the different attractions, go to Jurassic Park World, go to Jaws World. And then we'd talk to Woody Woodpecker, and he'd make us do shitty trivia about a bunch of Universal Studio movies that we never heard of or seen. Um, and we just brute force the trivia. So it was like, it's not a good game. It's Woodpecker is obnoxious. I hate him because of that game. But I made a game. I think it was for something called Review Jam, where you make a game kind of like reviewing another game. And
Yeah.
so it is the meta experience of like you being a child, and it's Christmas in 2001, and your parents just like went to Kohl's and just bought whatever they saw on the rack, that was left over. And you got Universal Studios, and it's kind of your experience of playing it. So
So you're playing as the kid playing the game.
yes.
Yes. That's the way to do it.
And I ripped the music out of the original game, and I ripped voice clips of Woody Woodpecker. So like all the whole experience is there. Pretty much everything you could want out of the original game has been replicated and ripped into my game as well. So you don't really need to play the original anymore. You can just play mine.
Not anymore. Before, you needed to. It was a need to play experience.
Yeah,
And
you can just
now,
wipe that one off the internet. You can just delete off archive.org. I'm sure has it. Just get rid of it. You don't need it. You got mine.
that's
It's
right.
better.
It's well, it is actually better. So you're joking and serious at the same time, which is the best way to be. Isnot.com. Yes, a .com .commercial. It's a business you're running.
That's true.
What's the game that's shipped? What's the game people can buy?
Yeah. So just recently, Drakenek and Friends, they made games such as Monsters Expedition. Um, they made a game. Well, I helped make a game with them called The Electrifying Incident, which is a monster mini expedition. And it's a little puzzle game. Like you move blocks around and you kind of like solve, push things into electricity and do conduits and stuff like that. And that just came out in Steam like a couple weeks ago.
You
So
grab onto the blocks with like sort of a distancy thing and move it around.
a little like electric, like gripper
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that stuff. It's
Yeah.
Adventures of Lolo-esque, I
Yes.
would say.
Yes.
That's
Sokoban.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So a game people can buy, and then the people who pay for games to get made will be like, well, Izzy made this with us, so now Izzy is a bankable product. So buy Izzy's games and play Izzy's non-purchasable games.
You can
And
still
spread
give me
the
money
word.
on itch. You can still give me money on there. There's a donate button. So
That's
feel
right.
free.
Yeah, that's right. That's how you do it. We have a minute and 17 seconds left. Izzy, anything we missed in our quick Gex word vomit extravaganza?
No, I think that covers it pretty good. I'm glad that you invited me to do this. It was a nice little surprise. I don't know that you even know this, but I was on Destructoid back in like the late 2000s,
No,
like
I had no
2009
idea.
stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
I was
Yeah.
on the community blogs a lot, so like I
Oh,
definitely know your work. I've been following you for a while.
oh, that's
So it's
fun. Yeah.
yeah, it's lovely to be on here.
Yeah, you're welcome on anytime.
Yeah,
I keep talking about the Zoom call is going to self-destruct, but we'll put everything about where they can find you in the show notes.
great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Izzy.
Izzy's getting busy spreading word about the Lizzie named Gex, and the next time we'll see him in projects, who knows when that'll be, but Dana Gould will be the key. We'll just have to wait and see, won't we?